Hi folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. I've got Linda with me today to help me through some of the things that I want to talk about because she's been a part of all this in the past. And Linda, one of the things that I think is important to talk about today is the role of guides. You know that in the sports shows we go to, one of the questions people ask us after they've looked at the incredible videos that we show them of all the beautiful fish that are being caught in this area is, how do we do that? Do you have somebody that can take us out? And we haven't had guides in the past. But I want to talk about the significance of guides and why it's important. And I think vitally it's incredible, not just for people in other areas, but for people in our area that hear us talk about all this great fishing on the radio. And how are they going to do the same thing? If they had somebody to show them, I think it's critical to have somebody to show you how to do what we do.
You're absolutely right, Don. And in fact, what I've learned in my years helping you with these sports shows, for me as someone who doesn't fish, if I were going to take a vacation and go to a place that I'd never been before or I'd only heard about, I think I'd want to use my time in the most efficient manner possible. And in the past, you and I have talked about reading the water and knowing a particular stream or river or lake. And for those who are coming who are newbies, who've never been to the area, they've heard wonderful stories about the Grass or the Racket or whatever river, but they don't begin to know, where do I go to catch those prize fish that I'm seeing on the videos? Where do I go to have the experience of a lifetime? That's where the guides, as you describe, that's where they come in, because they're going to be knowledgeable about the conditions and the water body where someone might want to fish. They'll know how to access the best areas. They'll know the right lures to use. They will have studied
Listen to you. Yeah, you're right. And it's not just those people from these other areas. No. It's the people listening to us right now.
That's true.
I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that have heard us talk about all the tournament winners that go out in the St. Lawrence River and they catch these incredible smallmouth by using drop shots or whatever they do. But you really don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do it as well as they do. But to have somebody to be able to take you out on the St. Lawrence River and for you to be able to learn how to do this, I think is incredible. Mm-hmm. It would be just absolutely amazing. And the other thing that I've talked about is the trout fishing in our area. Well, we talk about fly fishing and how grand it is, but to people listening, they picture what they've seen on TV. It's almost like artful. It's poetic to watch these people cast.
Yes.
But we have a guide now in our area, right out of Messina, Aaron Hardy, who is specializing in this, and he has told me that in 2 hours' time he can teach a person how to do this. It isn't techno science. It's very basic.
Yes, it is very basic. But again, for someone who doesn't know or has dreamt of doing it but wouldn't understand the basics of what type of equipment or how do I even get started, that's where a guide like Aaron Hardy or Ethan Carr or even Alec Krawanczyk, who has done guiding for muskie fishing, these folks really know the water and they really know what they're doing and how to do it. And I just would add another point, Dawn, if I could. Even the tournament anglers who come, before they ever go into the competition mode, before they ever go into those days where they're competing for the big bass, they have days of practice. And what that entails is studying the water and looking for those areas where they might have the best chance to catch the prize fish.
And these are people that make their living fishing. These people know what they're looking for.
Exactly.
But the average person around here might not know any of that. So I wanted to bring this out because we now have 3 guides for our area. And I've talked to every one of these people, and they're really willing to take anybody out that lives here that wants to learn more. And I think that would be just a great idea.
Absolutely.
And those people, you mentioned their names.
I did, but I'll mention them again. Aaron Hardy, who is a guide for trout fishing. Ethan Carr, whose specialty I think would be
yeah,
bass.
I want to give Ethan a few compliments here. Ethan has won some of our major tournaments, and to have somebody like that knows this sport in the St. Lawrence as well as he does, to be able to take you out for a day, and if you could go out with somebody like Ethan, it would not only will you learn how to fish for these fish, but it gives you a chance to see all the technology that's part of this type of fishing.
Yes.
You can see how all his forward-facing sonar and other things that they have on their boat work. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a absolutely incredible thing right now, and I want to invite all of you to think about this. And if you've never been able to catch some of these fish we're talking about, I want to give you an example right now. I come on and tell you all about the wonderful muskie fishing in the Grass River and how we do it. And I can tell you about casting to the shore and how critical that is. But until you're out there and can have somebody show you, you do this and watch the wake of that fish come at you, that's the learning process. That's how you can learn to do all this. So if you haven't ever thought of a guide before, I think it'd be a great thing to do. So anyway, folks, until next time, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.